December 6th, 1917. Halifax, Nova Scotia. The world is at war, and the city's harbor is one of the most important naval ports in the British Empire. A bustling hub of ships carrying troops, supplies, and munitions to the front lines in Europe. In the narrow channel leading into the harbor, known as the Narrows, two ships are on a collision course. One is the SS Simo, a Norwegian vessel chartered for Belgian relief, leaving the harbor empty. The other is the French cargo ship, SS Mont Blanc, arriving from New York, its holds packed with a highly explosive cargo, picric acid. TNT, it was a floating bomb. At 8:45 a.m., a series of miscommunications and navigation errors brought the two vessels into a fatal embrace. The Imo struck the Mont Blanc on its starboard bow. It wasn't a powerful impact, but it was enough. Sparks flew, igniting the benzol stored on the Mont Blanc's deck. A fire began to spread rapidly, sending a thick column of black smoke into the morning sky. The French crew, knowing the apocalyptic danger they were in, abandoned ship, rowing frantically for the Dartmouth shore, shouting warnings that were lost in the chaos or misunderstood by the onlookers. Gathering along the waterfront, people stopped what they were doing. Children on their way to school, workers heading to the factories, families in their homes all turned their eyes to the spectacle of the burning ship. Some thought it was a German attack. Others were simply curious. Firefighters, like the crew of the Patricia, the city's first motorized fire engine, raced to the scene, preparing to battle a fire they couldn't possibly comprehend. For 19 agonizing minutes, the Mont Blanc drifted, a ticking time bomb, coming to rest against Pier 6 on the Halifax side. The clock was ticking down. At 9:04:35 a.m., the world was torn apart. The Mont Blanc detonated. It was the largest man-made explosion in history before the atomic bomb. A blast so powerful it vaporized the ship instantly. A blinding white flash was followed by a cataclysmic shockwave that radiated outwards at supersonic speed. Buildings 4 miles around were flattened. The pressure wave shattered windows 50 miles away, and the tremor was felt over 100 miles from the harbor. A mushroom cloud of smoke and debris rose more than 2 miles into the air. The explosion created a massive tsunami that surged through the harbor, washing away everything in its path and even tossing the Imo onto the Dartmouth shore. For those who witnessed it, the moment was seared into their memory forever. One survivor, Barbara, was just a child. She recalled looking out her window at the burning ship, captivated by the beautiful colors in the flames. Her mother called her away just before the blast shattered the glass, saving her from certain blindness or death. Thousands of others were not so lucky. Many who had been watching from their windows were instantly blinded or killed by flying shards of glass. Another eyewitness, a sailor on a nearby ship, described the sky turning black as a rain of metal, wood, and debris fell from the sky. He saw the iron anchor shank of the Mont Blanc, weighing over half a ton, fly 2.5 miles through the air before embedding itself in the ground. The tsunami that followed swept people off their feet, pulling them into the frigid waters of the harbor. The air filled with the screams of the injured and the terrifying silence of the dead. It was a scene from hell, a landscape of utter devastation where a vibrant city had stood just moments before. The aftermath was a city in ruins. The entire Richmond district, the working-class neighborhood closest to the blast, was completely obliterated. Over 1,600 homes were destroyed, and another 12,000 were damaged. Fires raged through the wreckage, fueled by overturned stoves and broken gas lines. An estimated 2,000 people were killed instantly or died from their injuries shortly after. Another 9,000 were injured, many of them severely blinded, burned, or maimed. Hospitals were overwhelmed, turning into chaotic scenes of triage and desperation as doctors and nurses worked tirelessly to save as many lives as they could. As if the initial disaster wasn't horrific enough, nature delivered another cruel blow. The next day, a severe blizzard buried the shattered city under more than a foot of snow. The snow hampered rescue efforts, trapping survivors in the freezing wreckage and making it nearly impossible for help to get through. Many who had survived the blast succumbed to exposure in the biting cold. The blizzard turned the disaster into a nightmare, compounding the suffering of a city already on its knees. Rescuers dug through snow and rubble, often finding entire families frozen together in what was left of their homes. But in the midst of this darkness, a light of hope began to flicker. News of the disaster spread quickly, and aid began to pour in from across Canada and the United States. Trains loaded with medical supplies, food, clothing, and volunteer personnel were dispatched immediately. Boston, in a remarkable act of solidarity, sent a relief train within hours of hearing the news, arriving through the blizzard to provide critical support. This act of kindness forged a bond between the two cities that endures to this day. Every year, Halifax sends a beautiful Christmas tree to Boston as a thank you for their swift and life-saving assistance. The Halifax explosion was a tragedy of unimaginable scale, but it also became a catalyst for change. The sheer number of eye injuries, hundreds of people were partially or completely blinded, led to a new understanding of the dangers of flying glass and explosions and advancements in eye care. The Canadian National Institute for the Blind was founded in the wake of the disaster, largely to care for the many victims who had lost their sight. The disaster also revolutionized emergency response and urban planning. The chaotic and often uncoordinated rescue efforts highlighted the critical need for centralized disaster management plans. Cities around the world began to develop protocols for dealing with large-scale emergencies. Learning from the painful lessons of Halifax, building codes were re-evaluated, and new regulations were put in place regarding the transportation and storage of hazardous materials in populated areas. The Halifax explosion served as a brutal but vital wake-up call about the dangers of industrial society and the importance of being prepared for the worst. Today, Halifax is a vibrant, modern city, but the memory of that terrible day in 1917 is woven into its very fabric. Memorials like the Halifax Explosion Memorial Bell Tower and the Fort Needham Memorial Park stand as solemn reminders of the lives lost in the city that was shattered. The anchor shank of the Mont Blanc rests where it landed, a silent, powerful testament to the force of the blast. The stories of survival, loss, and resilience are passed down through generations, ensuring that the victims are never forgotten. The explosion not only reshaped a city but also changed how we view safety, community, and our responsibility to one another in times of crisis. It's a story of profound tragedy, but also one of incredible human strength and the enduring power of hope. Thank you for watching. If you found this story moving and informative, please like this video and subscribe to our channel for more deep dives into pivotal moments in history. We'll see you next time.